Hey everyone, it's Barbara Techel, author of two children's books, Frankie the Walk and Roll Dog, which I recorded, and you can find, I'll put the link below to listen to that recording. I did that earlier in the week and I received so much positive feedback and so many people were so excited to get that and share with their kids that I had to go ahead and record my second children's book for you, which is Frankie the Walk and Roll Therapy Dog Visits Libby's House. So it's another book to have some really great discussions. As I mentioned, the first book is great for discussing how to be positive in the face of adversity. And this book is great to discuss with your kids about even though when we are feeling challenged or have challenges ourselves, we can still find a way to give back to the world in a positive way in our own communities. So I'm going to share with you Frankie the Walk and Roll Therapy Dog Visits Libby's House. So here we go. I'll just jump right in. Is everybody ready? I know I am. All right, here we go. So here's the first illustration. As you can see, Frankie is in the sink getting a bath. And let's find out what that's all about. So here we go. I hear water running in the kitchen sink. I know what that means. Time for your bath, Frankie. Mom gently takes me out of my wheelchair. But first you have to go potty. Mom helps me to go potty on the toilet because I cannot feel when I have to go. I had an accident and I am partially paralyzed. This means I don't have feeling in my back legs, so it makes it difficult for me to walk without the help of my wheelchair. Good girl, Frankie. Mom is always proud of me. She hands me over to my papa. Here you go, Papa. Frankie is ready for her bath. He gently places me in the kitchen sink and uses the sprayer to wet my silky red fur. The warm water feels soothing as it glides down my back. I balance my tiny paws on the edge of the sink and drift into a sleepy state as Papa lathers me with lots of soapy suds. Time for the final rinse, Frankie. Papa startled me and interrupted my spa treatment as he whisks the suds away. I watch them swish and swirl down the drain. Papa wraps me in a warm, fluffy towel. Come on, little one. Let's cuddle until you are dry. He sits in his favorite chair and puts me in his lap. I close my eyes and thank my lucky stars for snuggle time with my papa. I have to be squeaky clean and well groomed to be a therapy dog. I remember when my mom was training my Labrador sister Kylie to do therapy work. Mom dreamed of taking Kylie to nursing homes and bringing happiness to the residents. But that was put on hold when I became paralyzed and Mom had to take care of me. I think I forgot to show you the illustration. Here it is. And we're going to learn what this is all about in just a minute. A year later, I was healed, so Mom and I began to visit schools in nearby cities. Now we share my remarkable story of living life to the fullest in a wheelchair. We teach children that every challenge can be overcome by having a positive attitude. One day, Mom and I met an exceptional elementary school teacher named Julie when we visited her classroom. As Mom was getting ready for our presentation, Julie said, "My dog Preston is a therapy dog. He comes to school with me every Wednesday, and the children take turns reading to him. It helps them concentrate, and it enhances their reading skills." My mom's face lit up. "I have always dreamed of doing therapy dog work with Kylie," she said, "but I had to put my dream on hold when Frankie got hurt." Here's Julie and little Frankie. After the presentation, Mom was packing up and Julie was putting the desks back in rows. "I think Frankie would make a wonderful therapy dog," Julie said. "She's so well behaved with the children." Mom looked at Julie sadly. "I'm nervous Frankie wouldn't pass the required testing," Mom said. "She's never had any formal obedience training." Julie smiled. "I happen to be a tester with Therapy Dogs Incorporated. I would be happy to meet with both of you and go over the test so you would feel more comfortable. I think you and Frankie would have no problem passing the test. Frankie is a natural. Mom's eyes filled with tears. You really think so? Julie nodded, and Mom knelt next to me. What do you think, Frankie? She asked. Can we do it? I looked up to her and blinked my fawn-like eyes. I guess this is actually me and Frankie, not Julie and Frankie. So here we are in the front yard at our house, and we're going to learn all about being a therapy dog. On a cool, windy afternoon, Julie came to our house to help Mom and me practice for the test. You and Frankie must walk together as a team with Frankie at your side. First, walk slowly, then quickly, and then turn around and walk back to me. Mom held my leash, and I pranced beside her as we made our way into the backyard. Every now and then, I would look up to her to see if I was doing it right. Good job, Frankie. Julie grinned from ear to ear. Second, Frankie will need to accept strangers petting her all over. I sat contently while Julie stroked my head, body, tail, tummy, and paws. I liked that test. The next test is a hard one, but a very important one, Julie explained. Frankie cannot be afraid around wheelchairs. We will have to wait to practice until we visit a nursing home, which we will do soon. Mom grinned. I have a feeling Frankie will pass that test with flying colors. Just like in the first book, Frankie the Walk and Roll Dog, she meets lots of new friends, and here she is meeting a new friend here. Now for the next test, Julie said. She cannot be aggressive around another dog. Wait here. Julie walked to her car as Mom and I sat on the lawn. Julie returned with her dog, Preston. I stood erect on my front paws as Preston came closer. Woof, woof, woof! I let him know this was my yard and my mom. We met nose to nose and sniffed each other. Then I twirled around in my cart to show him how it works. Mom and Julie giggled as Preston flopped down on his side. The last test requires that you and Frankie be well groomed when you make your therapy dog visits. Mom laughed loudly. Oh, no problem. Frankie loves bath time. Julie smiled wildly. You both did very well and will make a great team. Hot diggity dog! I passed all the initial tests. Mom swept me into her arms and gave me a big hug. So this is the day that we go to the nursing home to learn even more. So 3 weeks later, Mom and I met Julie and Preston outside a nursing home. Preston and I sniffed each other while Mom gave Julie a big hug. Julie looked down at me. This is the day I will see how you react around wheelchairs, Frankie, she said. We will also need to see how well you interact with everyone. So if you are ready, let's go in. I rolled happily through the front doors. The receptionist and the director of the nursing home were waiting for us. Welcome! We are so happy you are here. The receptionist bent down and patted the top of my head. You are the sweetest little thing, she said. All of a sudden, I heard a familiar noise. I spun around and couldn't believe my eyes. Birds of bright yellow, baby blue, and cocoa brown were flitting from branch to branch within a big glass container. I scurried up to the front and pressed my nose against the glass. The birds scolded me, tweet, 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 tweet. I paced back and forth, wishing with all my might I could get inside and catch a bird. Mom looked at me sternly. Now, Frankie, that is enough. You are frightening those poor birds. It is time to do our therapy dog visit, and you must behave. I looked at Preston and Julie. They were waiting for me, so I walked nicely over to join them. Then we all got in the elevator and went to the 4th floor where the residents live. Look who Frankie meets. As we strolled off the elevator, a man in a wheelchair came rolling toward us. Oh, what do we have here? He reached down and stroked my fur. You have wheels just like me, little pup. What happened? My mom told the kind man how I hurt my back and how my dog cart helps me walk. His eyes fill with tears. That is so wonderful. How nice of you to come here to visit, he said. You just made my day. Preston and I brought many smiles to everyone that day as we made our way through the hallways to visit with all the residents and staff. A nurse giggled when she saw us. Can I pet your dogs? Julie grinned. Yes, please do. That is why we are here. After an hour of visiting, I started to slow down. I was ready for my nap. I think Frankie has had enough for today, Julie, Mom explained. We made our way back to the elevator and rode down to the first floor. We walked out of the building and into the fresh air and sat down on the front lawn. Julie handed my mom a signed certificate. I'm so happy to tell you both that you have passed the final test, she said. I'm so proud of you, Frankie. You will bring so much joy to many people with your therapy dog visits. Here's Frankie in her car seat. She loved to sit in that and look out the window. One blustery afternoon, I was curled in front of the warm gas stove when I heard Mom talking to someone named Patty. We would love to visit your facility. Frankie and I will be there every third Monday of the month at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Just as I drifted back to sleep, my mom startled me. Oh, Frankie, guess what? She said. We will start our therapy dog work next week on Monday. We will visit a very special place called Libby's house. Libby's house is a senior assisted living facility. It is kind of like a big house where many older people live together. There are many people who work at Libby's house to help the residents. There are nurses, cleaning staff, cooks, and activity directors. It will be a special day when we make our first visit. The big day has finally arrived. I know this because Mom is loading my wheelchair into the car. Mom scoops me up. Time to buckle you into your doggy car seat, my little Frankie. I perch my feet on the end and get into position as the official co-pilot of our ride into town. Ready? Set? Here we go, Frankie, Mom says excitedly. We are off to Libby's house to bring smiles to the residents. Let's see, how can I show you this? It's a big page here. So this is Libby's house. Mom pulls up to a big tan house with brown shutters and many windows. Birds are chirping loudly as they sit perched on several bird feeders in the yard. My mom takes me out of the car and puts me into my wheelchair. Time to make new friends, Frankie, Mom says. As we roll through the first set of doors, we have to stop. My mom presses a button that looks like a doorbell, but I don't hear it ring, so I don't bark. Patty, the activity director, comes to the door and punches a code in the keypad on the wall. The door opens. Welcome to Libby's house, Patty says. We are thrilled you are here. We are happy to visit you, Mom says. Sorry, it says Mom replies. Everyone finishes lunch around 1 o'clock, Patty says as we pass the cafeteria. I try to snatch up a few leftover crumbs on the floor, but my mom tugs on my leash. Drats! Let me show you where they will gather after they are done eating. We follow Patty into a large room with a couch, lots of chairs, and a big screen TV. There are patio doors that open into the large backyard. Here's Frankie meeting one of the residents. A man sitting in the recliner notices me and smiles the biggest smile I have ever seen. What do we have here, he says. I adore dogs. This is Frankie, Patty says as she winks at Daniel. I have a feeling you two will become friends fast. I overhear Patty telling my mom that Daniel is in his early 70s, but that does not stop him from getting down on his hands and knees to pet me. Daniel gives me a big hug and kisses the top of my head. "You are the cutest little dog I've ever seen," he says. Mom hands Daniel my pink leash. "Would you like to take Frankie for a little walk?" Daniel nods enthusiastically as he takes my leash. He seems to have an extra bounce in his step as we jubilantly move down the hallway. A few moments later, we return to the living room, and Daniel eases his way onto the couch. Mom says, "Would you like Frankie to sit on your lap, Daniel?" You bet I would. Isn't this the sweetest picture of Daniel and Frankie? Mom lifts me onto Daniel's lap. "You are so special, Frankie," he says. I look up at him and notice his eyes are filling with tears. "I feel so sorry for her," Daniel says sadly. "You don't need to feel sorry for Frankie," Mom says. "Visiting you makes her very happy." "It does?" Daniel holds me close. "Frankie is perfect, unlike me. I am not perfect." Daniel's voice cracks. "We think you are perfect just the way you are." My mom tries to reassure Daniel. I rest my head on his knee and raise my eyebrows. Daniel smiles and his whole face lights up. The nurse comes into the room. "Time to take your medication, Daniel," she says. She holds his arm and helps him up from the couch. He glances down at me one more time. "Please come visit me again, Frankie." "Arf!" I let out a soft bark as the nurse and Daniel walk to the kitchen. My mom and Patty sit down. Daniel used to be a policeman and was a crime scene investigator, Patty says. Most days he sits in his room listening to the radio. Daniel loves to sing. Patty and my mom both smile. Look at all the residents. Here they are, gathering up to sing a song. And look at little Frankie's in the picture too. Many of the residents at Libby's house sometimes can't remember things. The staff helps them remember when to take their medicine, when to eat, and when to go to bed at night. It's kind of like being a kid again, like when your mom and dad had to help you with those things. Spending time at Libby's house with Daniel makes my heart feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Sometimes older people feel lonely. When I visit, they share stories about their younger years and talk about when they had a pet. They also enjoy throwing my ball for me and feeding me treats. The activity directors plan many special activities for the residents. On Tuesday afternoons, they all gather in the music room. A resident or a staff member plays the piano and everyone sings songs from the old days. The whole time the music plays, Daniel smiles. He can't always remember the words, but he hums along to the tune. Looks like somebody at the Libby's house is going to celebrate a very special birthday, 100 years old. They also celebrate special birthdays at Libby's house, just like I said, right? Today is Martha's birthday. She is turning 100 years old. Martha and I have something in common. She is in a wheelchair just like me. There are colorful tablecloths on each table in celebration of her birthday. There are also balloons tied to each chair. The balloons are canary yellow, petunia pink, and sea green. A birthday cake with white frosting and sprinkles of jazzy confetti is on the table in front of Martha. The cook says loudly, 100 candles would have never fit on your cake, Martha. So I put one big candle in the center to represent your 100 years. Good thing. You might have burned down the building lighting 100 candles, Martha giggles. Martha's family has come from far and wide to be with her. Martha's 75-year-old daughter, Sarah, is sitting next to her. How does it feel to turn 100 years old, Mother? Martha thinks for a moment. I'm not as agile as I used to be, but I'm happy to be alive to see the sunshine and my friends and my family one more day. It's another illustration from the book. It looks like maybe Frankie and I are sharing her first book with the residents. Let's find out. I love spending time with each resident when I visit. Sometimes we all gather in the living room and my mom reads them my story from my first book, Frankie the Walk and Roll Dog. This helps them understand how I hurt myself and why I am in a doggy wheelchair. I remember another day when we were at Libby's house. My mom was all done reading when Ted said, "What happened to Frankie that she has to be in a wheelchair?" Mom smiled and again told Ted why. Sometimes older people can't remember for very long. Mom whispers softly to me, "Frankie, we just have to be patient and help them remember." After Martha and her guests have cake, Mom talks to the residents. In Germany, where the dachshund originated, a nickname for Frankie's breed is known as Techel, spelled T-E-C-K-E-L, Mom says. The funny thing is, my last name is Techel, though I spell it T-E-C-H-E-L. So everywhere we visit, I tell everyone we are the Techel team. Everyone smiles. Here's the next illustration. Edith says, "I used to have a dog that looked just like you, Frankie. His name was Shutzy." She pretends to roll something in her hands and explains, "Every evening I would give Shutzy a special treat of cooked ground beef for dinner." Her eyes get a little misty. Shutzy would always sit with me in my recliner every night while I read the paper. When it was time for bed, he would follow me, jump on the bed, and wait for me to take off my slippers. Then he would lay next to me with his head on the pillow, and I would cover him with his blanket. Even though Mom and I heard the same story last time when we visited, we sit politely and listen again. We pretend it is the first time we heard her story. Edith smiles and is happy that we pay attention. Janice is another resident at Libby's house. When she sees me, she says, "I don't like dogs." "That's okay, Janice. I understand if you don't like dogs," Mom says. "How come you don't like dogs?" "I was bit by one when I was a young girl," Janice explains. "I would be afraid too if that happened to me," my mom says sympathetically. Janice grins. "I don't like cats either. And I don't like fish." Mom laughs. Here's the next picture in the book. Ava, another resident at Libby's house, wanders into the room. She's carrying a large stuffed green bag in one hand and her purse is clutched in her other hand. "What do you have in the bag, Ava?" my mom says. Ava rummages through the bag. "This is material I will use to make a coat for my snowman," she says as she pulls out an oversized, puffy snowman and sits him on the couch next to her. Then she pulls out orange and black plaid material. "This is left over from a Halloween costume I made for Billy last month." I tilt my head to the side and look at my mom. Who could Billy be? Ava gets up abruptly and heads to the kitchen. "Who is Billy?" Mom asks Patty. Billy is Ava's 55-year-old son. I'm not quite sure I understand why Ava would make a Halloween costume for her adult son. Then my mom says, "Oh, I see. Ava is reminiscing." Mom and Patty smile at each other. My mom likes to dress me as a hot dog on Halloween, complete with fake ketchup, mustard, and relish. I don't think that is particularly funny, but I go along with it because I love her. There you can see Frankie's license plate again. "Well, Frankie," my mom says, "I think we should head back home." "No, I don't want to leave." I plant my front feet firmly in place and hold tight to the ground. I won't budge as my mom tries to pull me along at the end of my leash. "Come on, Frankie," Mom giggles as she tucks a little harder. "We will visit again next month," she says. "We will? Yippee! Okay, now I am happy to go. I know I will see everyone again, so I roll happily to the front door. It's 1 month later. Mom puts a big yellow happy face on the calendar and says, "Today is a special day, Frankie. We're going back to Libby's house." Arf, I tell her. I wish I could wag my tail because that's the way dogs say they are happy, but my tail doesn't work. Mom puts me in my doggy car seat and away we go. The sun feels especially warm today as we drive to Libby's house. The grass is getting greener by the day and tiny buds are popping from the tree branches. It's the next picture. Here we are at Libby's house again. I roll happily through the front doors of Libby's house, eager to see my best pal, Daniel. I look into the big living room, but do not see him in the chair where he is normally waiting to greet me. I look around the room, but he is nowhere to be found. Let's go see if Daniel is in his room today, Frankie, Mom says. We quickly walk to his room and peek in. Something is different. I don't hear the radio playing. The stacks of books on the end table are no longer there. The large stuffed yellow Labrador toy that is always on his bed is gone too. I look up to my mom and I wonder, where could Daniel be today? Just as we start to turn around, Patty, the activity director, comes into the room. Her eyes fill with tears. I'm sorry to have to tell you this, she said, but Daniel died on Friday. My mom starts to cry softly. She bends down and takes me out of my wheelchair and hugs me close. Patty pets my head and says, Daniel loved you so much, Frankie. You always made his day when you visited. Thank you for being his friend. Now it looks like Frankie meets another new friend. The following month, flowers are blooming with every color in the rainbow, and people are outside cutting their grass. Kids are playing in the park. The warm wind blows my ears back as we drive to Libby's house. It is hard to know I won't see Daniel anymore when I visit, but I hold my head high as I roll through the front doors once again. Patty is waiting for us. She bends down to stroke my fur. Frankie, there is someone new waiting to meet you, she says happily. Her name is Lila, and she loves dogs. I have told her all about you, and she is eager to visit with you. Patty leads the way as Mom and I walk side by side. Lila is sitting on the chair where Daniel used to wait for me. Her hair is short and silver, and her walker is resting next to the chair. Patty quietly says to my mom, It's hard to understand Lila when she talks, but she tries to communicate. Mom picks me up and kneels down in front of Lila. She rests the front of my paws on the arm of the chair while she holds the back of my wheelchair in her hands. Lila's hands are shaking as she reaches out to pet my head. She looks deep into my eyes and chatters up a storm. I'm not sure what she is saying, but my heart feels all warm and fuzzy again. I have made another new friend. I think this is the last page of the book. Let me just double check before. Yep, this is almost the end. So after visiting with Lila, I make my rounds to each residence so they can pet me. An hour later, my mom says, I think it's time to head home, Frankie. I lift my ears and jump to my feet. Mom says goodbye to everyone. They all wave as we walk out to the car. Mom pats my chest as she straps me into my doggy car seat. For a little dog, you have the biggest heart ever, Frankie. As Mom starts the engine, she reaches over, smiles, and puts her arm around me. I'm so proud of you, Frankie. Thank you for being my therapy dog and making a positive difference in the world. I slowly blink my eyes and drift off to sleep as we ride home. The end. So yesterday I shared, or in the other video I should say, I shared one of my favorite pictures of Frankie that you'll see if you watch that video, and I wanted to share two more with you today because not only was Frankie a therapy dog for all the people we visited, but she was a therapy dog for me and my husband too. And this is another favorite picture that I just love of me and my little Frankie. I love to kiss the top of her head. And this is the other picture. This is my husband, John, And this was the day of our big book launch when we launched our first children's book. And look how proud they both look. They're looking at me, and I just feel so much love when I look at this picture. So I hope you enjoyed my second children's book, and I hope you'll take some time to listen to the first book too. So that is it. Take good care. Bye-bye.